Finally, some good content. What's up, guys? So Warhammer Space Marine 2 just came out. I decided to splurge a bit on the gold edition so I could play it a few days early. And I gotta say, I am loving this game so far. Now, full disclosure, I haven't finished the campaign yet, but I have put a few hours into it, in both the single player and the co-op. And the game has pretty much met all of my expectations and exceeded them in some. Now, I did play the old Space Marine game back on Xbox 360, and I did really like that game, but I mean, it was kind of like the definition of like middleware AA game. Like, it's worth playing, but not really worth remembering. And then Warhammer 40k itself, I'm a bit of a fan. Like, I occasionally play the tabletop. I've played some of the other video games, but I'm not like a diehard or anything. But I do enjoy it. I think the lore is really interesting. I've enjoyed most of the games that have come out. But that's one thing with Warhammer 40k games is they tend to be a little hit or miss. Some of them are pretty fun. Some of them are not. And one kind of consistent theme of most Warhammer games is they're usually not great quality. So when Warhammer Space Marine 2 was announced, I thought it looked cool. I thought the trailer looked cool, and like I said, I like Warhammer anyway. So I definitely planned to play it. But I never really got like super excited for it like it was a AAA game. And it's not really a AAA game still. But I gotta say, this game stands out from every other Warhammer 40k game that has come out. Because this game is such a step up in quality from any other game. The last 40k game I played was Space Hulk Deathwing, and I liked it. My friends didn't really like it because I think they were expecting a little bit more. I enjoyed it because I kind of knew what to expect from Warhammer games, so I didn't get my expectations up. So I kind of just enjoyed it for what it was, but which was just kind of a middling game. This game is a huge step up from just semi-recent Warhammer games like that, and then it's a giant step up from Space Marine 1, just in terms of quality. The gameplay is good. The graphics are really good. The level design, the environments, the enemies, like it's a quality game. The level design was one of the first things that really impressed me with the game. I remember one of the complaints for some of the older Warhammer games, it's kind of one of the common complaints, is that the level designs kind of always end up looking the same, kind of bland, kind of boring. They just went really hard into the grimdark thing, so if everything is grimdark, then it's just boring, right? This game, I feel like it uses obviously a lot of the grimdark environments. You have you got dark hallways and stuff like that, but it also opens up into huge fortresses, trench warfare. It even sometimes opens up into these huge forests with swamps and bright colors and just like interesting fauna. I mean, I'm not a big plant guy, but it just looks cool. It just all adds to the overall feel and the immersion and the style of the map. Another thing that I feel like they just do really well is the sense of scale. Like I said, some of these fortresses that you go into are just huge. One of the earliest things that impressed me was just the sheer scale of some of these areas. Like there's a battle bars. It's kind of like almost like a hub in between missions, and you go into this hangar, and this hangar is giant. And if anybody who knows Warhammer lore, these ships are huge in Warhammer lore. But being able to be in it and it really communicated that sense of scale to you, it's just really cool to see in a game. Now, like I said, I haven't finished the campaign yet. But so far, the story is, it's nothing like super complicated or crazy. It's not like a bunch of twists and turns. It's not like Last of Us or God of War or something like that. It's not going to win a bunch of storytelling awards. But I am kind of glad it doesn't try to do that. I don't always need a game that's super deep and, trying to win a bunch of awards for storytelling and trying to trying to be this game that's gonna last forever, just based off the story alone. I don't need that all the time. Like, sometimes I just want to have fun playing the game. Like, there's plenty of good stories out there, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy a good story, but not every story has to be, like Oscar level kind of story. Sometimes I just want to have fun playing the game, and I kind of miss games like that. I'm a big Halo fan, and I love the lore of Halo, but they have a fairly straightforward story. They're just fun to play. Same thing with Space Marine 2. It understands what it's there to do, and that's just to have fun, just killing aliens. And like I said, I don't always need this crazy drawn out story. Sometimes I just need a canoe as Xeno with a chainsaw. Do you feel me? And this brings me to my next point, and that's the gameplay. I was a little surprised that this game is actually kind of hard, and that could just be a skill issue, and I do feel like it's a skill issue. I'll get into that. But I found myself dying even just in the intro, which is supposed to be kind of like a tutorial, and I was dying like quite a bit. But I do feel like, again, it's on me, like kind of a skill issue where I'm trying to, because the controls are just a little bit different than what I'm typically used to, because it's not really built like a regular shooter. It's more almost like a hack and slash with some guns thrown in, with just some shooting mechanics thrown in. So you have to time counters and dodges and stuff like that. I'm just not really used to that kind of gameplay style. I'm getting used to it, and when it works, it does work really well. So that's where I feel like the difficulty is fair. Like, there's some games that like they just hit you with some bullshit, and that's kind of how they ramp up the difficulty. I don't feel like Space Marine does that. Sure, it'll throw a bunch of enemies at you, but I do feel like it's fair. I feel like every time I've died, it's 100% my fault. I'll look at it and think, oh, I should have countered that, or oh, I should have dodged that. And if I just time it better, if I just get a little bit better at the controls, then the game will naturally become easier as I just get better at understanding the gameplay. And to me, that's the best way to scale difficulty, is to be difficult, but to be fair. So if you play with a high level of skill, then you should be able to get through it. But if your skill drops, the difficulty is going to start getting you again. And that's what I find really fun about it, and feels a lot more satisfying to play and finish. And that kind of brings me into my next point, which is the tone of the game. Anybody who knows anything about Warhammer knows that grimdark is its self-proclaimed tone of the whole world. Like, if I were to ever be dropped in any fictional universe, Warhammer 40k is probably the last one I would want to be dropped into. It's a horrible, dark, brutal place to live, and I know that could turn some people off from it, but that's what it is. I mean, and that's what makes it kind of fun, is because everything that you can think of is dialed up to 11 in the Warhammer universe. Guns are bigger, but monsters are real and they're bigger too, and that's just what the 40k universe is like. And I feel like this game nails that tone really well. Now, you play as a Space Marine, right? Which Space Marines are super powerful, super soldiers. They're almost like superheroes. I've always been kind of drawn away from Space Marines, like in the lore. I'm an Astra Militarum guy, because I like the idea of dudes who are boots on the ground facing some of the most terrifying enemies in the universe, and still doing it anyway. And so that's kind of always been what I've liked. But this game does a good job of that. Even though you are like this ultra powerful Space Marine, it still does a good job at showing that even as powerful as you are, these enemies are strong, and they can, and it still takes a squad of 3 Space Marines to deal with what they're dealing with, and still with great difficulty. Then when you do come across some guardsmen, generally it shows them getting their asses kicked. it's cool to see them, and also it's cool to see the size difference between the Space Marines and a regular soldier. I mean, the Space Marine just towers over them, and you see that a Space Marine is a pretty big deal. So you see these tiny guardsmen going against swarms of Tyranids, and you realize that their life expectancy is like 5 minutes. So it makes your impact as a Space Marine, feel a little bit more important and have more of a specific purpose in this battle. Like there were times where you see Tyranids, like army of Tyranids running at you, and it actually feels a little hopeless. Like you see so many, even as a Space Marine, thinking like, dang, that's a lot. And and like I said, the game's pretty difficult, and it does a good job of giving you that power fantasy of being a Space Marine, and it's still difficult and still die a lot. And I just think, like, dang, from the perspective of a regular guardsman, like, this battle really does feel hopeless and needs the Space Marines there. So I just thought that was cool, like the way they set the tone. I was a little afraid that they would kind of go away from the grimdark to try to appeal to, quote unquote modern audiences, but they didn't. It's still a scary world and it's a harsh world, and they do a good job of showing that. Some of the other things I just love is this kind of goes back into level design and the tone. I guess kind of a mix between the two. Is a lot of times you can just look in the background and you'll see just swarms of Tyranids attacking guardsmen. And what's cool is you'll see these swarms out there, and like they're really there. Like you can shoot at those Tyranids out there. And when they start attacking you, you could be up on a ledge and they'll start piling up, climbing their way up, like in like the zombies in World War Z. It's a cool mechanic, and it's cool to see in a Warhammer game, and it kind of adds to the feelings of hopelessness against an overwhelming force. Now, a couple of the complaints I have with the game, and there aren't many. Like I said, I'm really enjoying the game. They're more kind of technical issues. Now, this could be, again, some of my skill issue, but there were some times where it felt like there was a little bit of input lag. Like if I was countering something, maybe I was just timing it wrong. I don't know, but sometimes it just felt like it wasn't working the way it was supposed to. It didn't happen often, but it was just noticeable when it did. The other thing is that there's some server issues. Hopefully, this is just because I'm playing it early. Maybe they'll hopefully fix that here real soon. Hopefully by launch day. But I was playing co-op with one of my friends online, and there was a few times where at the like going to the next mission, it would show me a black screen and say loading server, and then it would just never load in. So the fix around it was just to restart the app, and that would fix it. But it was kind of annoying because I did miss a cutscene or two, just because of that. And so hopefully they do fix that soon. It's kind of a small technical complaint, but could lead to a bit of a rocky launch when people are trying to play together. But that does remind me that I did kind of forget to talk about the co-op. Co-op is pretty much the same as single player. I don't think there's like a separate game mode. Maybe I just haven't explored it enough. Like I said, I've really only put like a few hours into the game. Most of it was co-op. I played some of the single player. So when you do play co-op, basically the host of the game gets to play as Titus, and the other two players, it's 3-player co-op, and the other two will play as Gadriel or Chiron, who are 2 other Space Marines, obviously. And they don't really play any different or anything from Titus, which I like. I want to be able to just experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced as a Space Marine. And it is fun. It works. It works fine. I want to say there's anything special about it, but it's co-op. I kind of miss just having regular co-op campaign experiences with my friends. A lot of games just don't really do that anymore, and I'm happy I can do that with this game. But at the end of the day, Warhammer Space Marine 2 is a really good game. It's a bit of a throwback to maybe some of those other games that had more of a simpler storyline and focused just more on the action and just having a good time through gameplay. It brings in some of those older mechanics like just regular campaign co-op, and like I said, focusing more on just having a good time. It's not focusing on any storytelling awards or anything like that. I mean, it might win a few awards, but it's nothing. It's not going to be anything that's going to be considered the greatest game ever made, but it is a solid game. And today, with a lot of the games that have been coming out for the past few years, I haven't been too impressed with many of them coming out, and I'm just happy to finally get something that scratches that itch of just throwing a chainsword through a Xeno, dude. I mean, that's all I can ask for. I just want to have fun with games again, and this game knows what it's here for. It understands its fans, and it gives Warhammer fans exactly what they would want, and it really steps up the quality from other Warhammer games. So I think Warhammer fans are going to be very satisfied with this game, and people who maybe have never been into Warhammer before, I think this will be a good entry point for getting into Warhammer. And even if you don't really get into the overarching Warhammer lore or the tabletop or anything like that, I think you'll still just have fun with this game because it's badass and it's fun to play. So overall, I think I'd probably give it a solid 8 out of 10, maybe even an 8.5. So yeah, go play it. I appreciate you listening to my review. I'll be doing more videos like this, and I do still have my funny videos. So if you want to laugh, go ahead and go watch one of those. And go ahead and subscribe while you're at it.